Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Sun and Moon Movesets video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about the new legendary Pokemon Magearna. So let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, ability, and stats. So to start things off, Magearna is a new Steel Fairy type Pokemon introduced in the Pokemon Sun and Moon, and is in possession of a new ability known as Soul Heart, which makes it so that whenever this Pokemon KOs an opponent, it receives a +1 special attack boost, similarly to the way that Moxie works for your physical attack. But for its stats, this Pokemon, being one of the new legendaries, has some pretty great stats all around, possessing defensively a base 80 HP, a 115 physical defense, and a base 115 special defense, effectively allowing this Pokemon to take a hit or two pretty easily. Also, because of its really awesome Steel Fairy typing, this Pokemon is going to be resisting a ton of different attacks, allowing it to easily switch in on a variety of moves your opponent might be using. But offensively, this Pokemon has a base 95 physical attack, which is pretty good in and of itself, but its special attack, being base 130, allows this guy to do a ton of damage with its special moves, including its own signature move and Floor Cannon. Lastly though, this Pokemon has a base 65 speed stat, which on the whole is fairly slow. However, this Pokemon does get a way to very easily boost its speed stat and make use of its powerful offenses, and can also make use of the Trick Room move to allow this Pokemon to speed up itself and its teammates if running a very minimal speed set. But with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to begin by giving Magearna a timid nature to boost its speed but lower its physical attack, and then running an EV spread of 252 special attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs to max out its special attack and speed stat. As for the item, we can either go with Choice Specs to boost our special attack while locking us into a move, a Choice Scarf to boost our speed while locking us into a move, a Life Orb to boost the power of all of our attacks at the cost of losing 10% of our health every time we damage an opponent, while also being able to use our moves freely, an Expert Belt to boost the power of super effective attacks, an Assault Vest to boost our special defense, Leftovers to allow this Pokemon to recover HP at the end of every turn, or a Z Crystal to correspond to one type of attack on the set to give you a one-time super powerful move of that type. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to go with is going to be this Pokemon's signature Fairy type move in Floor Cannon, which is a base 130 special attack that lowers your special attack by 2 stages whenever you use it. However, the cool thing about this Pokemon having the Soul Heart ability, whenever you KO an opponent, obviously boosting your special attack, you can sort of remedy the special attack drops you get from using Floor Cannon just by KOing an opponent, which is pretty cool. But for its main stab steel move, we're going to be going with Flash Cannon, and then for coverage that we sorely need, specifically against opposing steel types, we're going to be running either Aura Sphere or Focus Blast to give you a powerful fighting type move to use against them. Aura Sphere obviously being a weaker move that never misses, whereas Focus Blast can miss, obviously being only base 70 accuracy, but is significantly more powerful. So really whichever option here will cover the fighting type coverage that you need. But for the last move on the set, you can either run Volt Switch or Ice Beam to give us Pokemon some additional coverage and also some additional utility in Volt Switch specifically, which will allow you to maneuver in and out of the battle whenever you use it, possibly granting you some switch initiative for your team. However, Ice Beam can be very effective against opposing ground-type Pokemon that would easily want to switch in and deal super effective damage to Magearna. As for this next moveset, we're going to be running a specially offensive boosting set for Magearna. So we're going to start this one off by first including a Timid Nature like before to increase your speed but lower your physical attack, or also including a Modest Nature on the set to boost your special attack but lower your physical attack. Then we're also going to run the same EV spread of 252 special attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs, and then running an item choice of either a Life Orb or a Z Crystal to boost your offensive power. But for the moves on this set, again, we're going to be going with Floor Cannon and Flash Cannon to be your main stab, fairy, and steel type moves, but it's really the third option that you pick that makes this set effective against a number of different things, or ineffective against a number of different things. So again, you can go with Aura Sphere or Focus Blast to give you a powerful fighting coverage option, but Thunderbolt and Ice Beam can also be very useful too, versus very specific attackers you might be up against. However, lastly, Hidden Power Fire can also be included on this set, which gives you similar steel type coverage like Aura Sphere and Focus Blast, but also allows you to match up a little bit better against things like Scizor and Ferrothorn that this Pokemon might be having to face on the battlefield. But the last move on the set is really the main one that we're including here to make this set different from the previous one in the form of Shift Gear, which will boost your speed by 2 stages and also your physical attack by 1 stage, which for purposes of this set isn't that important. But a +2 Magearna outspeeds a ton of things, and with access to the Soul Heart ability, potentially also boosting your special attack, makes this set possibly one of the deadliest sets that this Pokemon can run. But finally, for the third main offensive option on this Pokemon, we can run it very effectively under Trick Room. So for this variant, we're going to start off by giving it a Quiet Nature to boost its special attack but lower its speed stat, and then run an EV spread of 252 HP EVs, 252 special attack EVs, and 4 special defense EVs to give it its maximum HP and special attack possible. Everything else, however, on this set pretty much remains exactly the same, but the thing that does change is the last move, where instead of running Shift Gear, we're actually going to be running Trick Room to allow this Pokemon to twist the dimensions and make it so that slower Pokemon are actually the faster ones on the battlefield, which not only can help out Magearna in possibly setting up for a sweep, but also other members of its team that can easily take advantage of the Trick Room. Now, in addition to being a fantastic Trick Room sweeper, Magearna is also one of the best new Pokemon to set up Trick Room in the game. So we're going to run this set a little bit more defensively to allow it to support its potential slow teammates so that they can fully take advantage of Trick Room. So we're going to start this moveset off by giving it a relaxed nature to increase its physical defense but lower its speed stat, and then go with an EV spread of 252 HP EVs, 72 defense EVs, and 184 special defense EVs to give this Pokemon its maximum mixed bulk possible, and then also running leftovers to allow it to recover HP at the end of every turn. But for the moves, for the first one on this set, we're going to be going with Trick Room to allow Magearna to then twist the dimensions, making the slower Pokemon faster, thus supporting itself and also its teammates on a slower set that it will be running. As for your next 3 attacks, this largely depends upon how you want to actually make use of this Pokemon. So regardless of what we do, we're going to run either Floor Cannon or Flash Cannon to be your main Stab Fairy or Stab Steel type move. In your third move slot, you can then run a secondary stab by running Flash Cannon here if you went with Floor Cannon in the first move slot, or make use of Volt Switch, which is fantastic for any Trick Room user because it allows this Pokemon to quickly set up a Trick Room and then deal some damage while it switches out into a Pokemon that can easily take advantage of the Trick Room. Finally, for the last move slot, we can run Volt Switch to allow this Pokemon to then again do the same thing as mentioned before, giving you possibly some switch initiative, but if you want to give this Pokemon some additional sustain throughout the battle, we can also run Pain Split in this last move slot to allow Magearna to leech off of its opponent's HP stat and thus recover HP that way. But no matter how you run this, just the fact that this Pokemon is so easily able to switch into a variety of attacks and easily set up Trick Room makes it, as mentioned before, one of the best new users of Trick Room in the game. Now, if setting up Trick Room with Magearna isn't really what you want to go for, but still want to run it in a defensive way, here's how I would recommend going about it. So really, most of the things on the set are going to stay exactly the same with the same EV spread and the same item choice and similar move options. But for the nature, this time, since we're not trying to lower our speed, we're going to be going with a bold nature to increase our physical defense but lower our physical attack. As for the moves on this set though, the first one that we're going to go with is going to be Thunder Wave to allow this Pokemon a reliable way to paralyze opponents, thus crippling their speed and making it so that they occasionally do not attack, which will help you and your teammates out, or going with Iron Defense on the set to allow Magearna a way to boost its physical defense by 2 stages and thus make it very difficult to take out once it is set up, which could allow you an opportunity to easily make use of this Pokemon's really great defensive and offensive stats. But for the other moves, again, we're going to choose between Floor Cannon and Flash Cannon to be our main Stab Fairy or Stab Steel type move. And then for the third move slot, running either Flash Cannon here if you went with Floor Cannon in the previous move slot, or going with Volt Switch again to give this Pokemon a reliable way to switch in and out of battle, also dealing some electric type damage in the process. Lastly though, for this set, we are 100% going to want to run Pain Split because we are going to be running this Pokemon defensively and wanting it to last for a long time. So the more HP that it can recover, the better it is off at lasting for a while and being a great defensive wall for your team. Then as for this next moveset, we're going to also run this Pokemon defensively, but as a way to maximize its offensive potential and ability to last for a long time. So we're going to start this one off again with a Bold Nature to boost its physical defense but lower its physical attack, and then going with an EV spread this time of 252 HP EVs, 252 defense EVs, and 4 speed EVs to give it its maximum physical bulk possible, and then again running with leftovers to allow it to recover HP at the end of every turn. But for the moves, This time we're going to be running Calm Mind to allow this Pokemon to boost both its special attack and its special defense by 1 stage every time it goes for this move. And because we want to be boosting and keeping our attack power high, which also can land us a couple boosts potentially from Soul Heart later down the road if we're able to boost up enough to KO an opponent, we're actually going to be running Dazzling Gleam on this set over Floor Cannon, just because I don't think having the special attack drop from Floor Cannon being particularly useful on a Calm Mind set. But along with this, we're then going to run Flash Cannon potentially as our main stab steal option, or Aura Sphere to give this Pokemon a reliable way to damage opposing Steel-type Pokemon that it would typically struggle with. And in the third move slot, you can also include Aura Sphere as well here, going with a move combination of Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, and Aura Sphere. Or if you want to give this Pokemon a little bit more sustain while it attempts to set up, you can again go with Pain Split for reasons mentioned before, and then you'll be able to leech off of your opponent's HP to increase your own and then allow Magearna to last for a longer time in the battle. But overall, as far as boosting sets are concerned, compared to the Shift Gear one that you previously saw, this one is more of a defensive-oriented one that could allow this Pokemon an easier time of setting up against opposing attackers. And finally, for this last move set, we're going to be running a physically oriented Shift Gear set for this Pokemon. So to start this one off, we're going to begin by giving it either a Jolly Nature to boost its speed but lower its special attack, or an Adamant Nature to boost its physical attack but lower its special attack. And then going with an EV spread of 252 attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs to give it its maximum physical attack and speed possible. And as for the item, running either a Life Orb or a Z Crystal. However, it is important to note that on this set, your ability Soul Heart is completely useless because we're going physically offensive. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to go with is going to be Shift Gear to allow us to boost our speed by 2 stages and also our physical attack by 1 stage, thus allowing this Pokemon to be more fast and also more powerful on the physical side. And as for your main stab attack, you're going to be going with Iron Head to be a powerful Steel-type move that'll also have a chance to flinch your opponent. Now unfortunately, this Pokemon's physical move pool isn't that great compared to its special one, but it does have access to Brick Break, which will considerably help this Pokemon out in dealing with opposing Steel-type Pokemon that could easily resist your normal dual stab. And as for your last move on the set, we can either run Return or Explosion to give this Pokemon a powerful normal-type move to make use of, also Explosion in a last-ditch effort to just do damage before you're going to go down, but also we can run Volt Switch on the set to give this Pokemon some ability to maneuver in and out of the battle, possibly granting you some Switch initiative, and also really seeking a good opportunity to be able to actually shift gear and potentially sweep a team with this moveset. So Volt Switch will give you the option of, obviously, if you shift gear and your opponent switches in something you can't really handle, easily switch out by just going for the Volt Switch, taking advantage of your boosted speed stat, so you're probably going to be outspeeding whatever comes in on you, and then possibly fishing for a later time in battle to shift gear again and make use of your physical moves. But with that, everybody, that is it for this video on Magearna, which I think is one of the most powerful and unique Pokemon introduced into Pokemon Sun and Moon, and something that is going to definitely make a dent in the OU tier this generation. So as always, everybody, thank you for watching this video, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.